for X amount of dollars. It was going to be done on a land contract, all these wonderful things. His house would not be empty. There would be young women in there with a roof over their head, food in their clothes, everything was taken care of. It took me about 3 hours to realize after he left and went back to Germany. On Monday morning, and Monday afternoon, I went to introduce myself to her. She was already moved in. That was July of last year. On August 28th, she submitted an application, and your man discussed. She submitted an application to the city of Olean with herself as the owner of the home. That was rejected, and she was issued a cease and restraint order and told to get out. That was September 28th. Finally, on January 8th, my son was home from the military by then, and on January 8th, he got his home back. I'm not saying what she's doing isn't a good idea, I'm just saying she may not be the right person for it. She informed me that she was applying to be a 501c3, which is a not-for-profit agency. I don't know if she's got that yet, but she should have if she's not. She told me that she had a board of directors, which I've been unable to locate and find any of these so-called board of directors. Her name seems to be the only one that has any rulings. My son was in the service, couldn't do all this. His father had power of attorney. Didn't work well. So when she lists in the Olean paper and when she puts on her websites that she had a successful sober house in Olean, I'm just here to tell you that it was not successful. It was very unsuccessful. It took us we did not even write her a rent contract because the Olean enforcement officer had to contact us and tell us this was illegal, you need to get her out. And it took us the first time they contacted us was the 2nd of September, and it took us until January 8th to get her out. I'm not saying the idea is bad. I'm saying that the planning, the organization, how it's being done is bad. And we're still trying to recover from it. My son is still trying to recover from it. So please think about it, and to the residents of Cattaraugus, think about it, please.
Thank you, Julie.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just present these to you as to the allegations that were made. There's several products of proof in that pile work. You see?
All right. Anybody wants to see them, they absolutely can. Moving on, we have Eric Eddy.
That is me. Like my mother had said, I was in Germany and was not able to do anything about this, and Ms. Trina was unwilling to work with my mother and my father as power of attorney. I also have the legal documentation from Olean Code Enforcement and the court system that allowed me to evict her, that gave her a cease and desist order, and a copy of what she turned into Ed Jennings as the approval for the variance of saying she was the owner of my home and property.
Show them the pictures.
I also have pictures of the way she left my home. After January 8th, these pictures were taken 8 hours after I was able to come back into my home. This is not all of them. And I'm not saying my home was in perfect order, by no means, but it was definitely left in worse order than what she was given. If the board would like these, or I can give them to your code enforcement who has them look at. I don't know if this will tell anything about how she can talk to herself to other people. Thank you.
Are these copies?
They are copies. Those are copies. Those are what I have right now. If you'd like copies of them, I would be more than happy to make them for you.
Should we have copies of them for Gary?
That would be up to Mr. Brucker if he would want
I
that.
believe Mr. Brecker has spoken with the Olean Code Enforcement Office as well.
Yes.
I'd like to go a little further to say, if I may, Christian Patterson, I am the current tenant in the house. And when I moved in there was this crap all over. This woman stole all the appliances and everything. Took it right out of the home that belonged to Eddie. I mean, I would really suggest that the community look at this real good as to the character of the individual who says she's running this place. There is nothing that's short of fraud going on here. I can't prove it, but y'all will. You got your turkeys for it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Regarding the information, where's Mr. Brucker? Brecker's still out there, Rick?
Tom,
You
we
did
lost
that.
it.
I think
No,
so.
he left.
You left?
We'll make road.
You make
Alright. Moving on, Mr. 42 South Street, is that Joe Tanner? You 42 South?
Yeah, but I already asked the question.
Okay, so you're all set?
Thank you.
Alright. Mr. Parisi?
I kind of have a unique experience, or a unique perspective. I work in a similar program. I understand the stigma attached to, I understand it. I've sat in a room in front of the zoning board, tried to get a permit, tried to get a special use permit, and was denied. We went through the proper avenues. We filed the proper paperwork, we got the community support, and we are now operating a program with the backing of the community. I have a problem with my perception of you just trying to kind of sneak in under our noses, and I just don't see a healthy environment going about it that way. I agree that this type of program is needed, and I support it. The way about it, it seems a little shady, and that is putting everybody on edge, you know. You're not gonna get the support of the community if you're threatening lawsuits if you don't get your way, so to speak. Because I think a lot of people would agree that it is needed, and we're not necessarily against the idea of it. The way you went about doing it just seems a little sneaky, and that's what bothers me about it. And I'm almost insulted because I went through the proper channels to do what I do. I got the proper paperwork done, I went in front of the proper boards to do it, and we were denied the first time. And it sucked, you know, pardon my language, but it was a pain. But we started all over and we put the work in, and it took months, but we did it. And now we're there without that cloud of shadiness, sneakiness around us. So again, I appreciate what you're trying to do, I just don't like the way you did it. Thank you.
That's pretty much what Jason and I try to get across too when we paid the visit, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like I said, you know, get to the board meetings, talk to people, go to the ambulance meeting, that's Thursday night, you know, right? Wednesday night, is it this week, Wednesday? The board meeting. So the first Wednesday of the month, you know, just get out to the people that are gonna be helping, like I said, you know, that's what's important. And go through the process, and I think that, you know, you'll find that the people in this community are very welcoming, but you gotta do it right.
Alright, Abby? She out there? Abby? She's gone? Okay.
Yes, I'll see any of this.
Mrs. Friends, McIntyre? McIntyre? Okay. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I would. I've spoken with Trina. Obviously, I live right across the street from her, so we're neighbors. And introduced each other early on. I too am coming from where Brian is. I think it's a wonderful thing, but let's make sure it's done right, because we live there. My kids live there, I live there, I've grown up here, I love it here. I would be a person to come and volunteer and help if it's done right. Some of the things that I'm hearing scares me a little bit, so I think educating us is going to be the best result. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Klein?
That would be me. The one with the bad back standing here trying not to fall over. I've known Trina for a few years now, and I think what Trina's doing is a wonderful thing. And I have had experience with drug and alcohol rehab and addicts myself. I have a 40-year-old son who is presently in rehab in Buffalo. I think that getting together to put a place here in Cattaraugus to help local people is very advantageous to everyone. I don't think anyone sitting here has not been touched by drug or alcohol. No one sitting here. And if you could honestly say you're wrong. Somewhere along the line, there's drugs and alcohol, and it's either a child, a grandchild, or a neighbor. Somebody knows somebody who needs the help. And with the girls going through detox and coming into the house, it's not gonna be medically, it's going to be helping them get visitation with their children back. Helping them get custody of their children back, proving to family court that they can indeed be mothers again. Alcohol and drugs destroy so many families. Mine has been ripped apart, but my son's in Buffalo. I don't go and see him. I don't drive to Buffalo. And it's going to be local people. It's not like Tri-County drug and alcohol rehab where we had people from Jersey and New York and all over Hell's Kitchen, but she wants to help people here. And if you could have your loved one here in your community, that you can see, that you can touch, that you can talk to, and you can see them and help them, it's so much better than it is to have them shoved someplace else where they're by themselves. My son's on the phone with me 10 times a day. I reach the point, I don't even answer the phone because he's still in the argument stage. It's tough. It's tough. And everybody, in one way or another, is touched by the drug and alcohol bug. No matter who you are. Even your local priest, because they listen to the confession, they watch their parish members. It's touched everybody. And I think that a joint effort with everybody, these women can be helped. They can be put back into society as helpful, living, loving people. Not just known as a handle of, oh, she's a druggie or she's an alcoholic. That's something that's never going to go away. But they don't have to be reminded of every day. It's a rough road.
All right, well, thank you. Mr. Proctor?
It seems to me we beat this long enough. We seem to be all in agreement. Beth and this young man behind her said it in a nutshell. We all think it's a good thing. Why, oh, why didn't you go through the right channels instead of trying to sneak into Cattaraugus and hoodwink the neighbors?
First of all, sir, the answer to your question is I didn't sneak. I put it on Facebook. I made flyers.
Well,
There was no
it seemed to the
sneaking.
neighbors
It
that
was
you did.
public. It was publicly announced. I started announcing it over at the Trading Post, and from there made flyers all the way Little Valley, all over the place. So there was no sneaking and there was no hiding.
Why didn't you go through the channels? You've been in this long
Because
enough,
we're
you know
protected by
what
the
they are.
federal law. There are fair housing laws that we are protected by.
Could I just ask one question? You went through the steps to open your place,
Yes, ma'am.
and I know what a horror things like that can be. I've been there and done that too. Could you help her through the steps?
I would have absolutely no problem with meeting with you and having a conversation. I've meant to come over there because, like I said, I have a unique perspective. I am a community member who feels like I am being hoodwinked. I'm sorry, but I did not know this was happening until I read an article in the Bradford newspaper like 3 days before May 1st that said it was opening. So maybe I didn't notice anything, but I didn't know it was happening. So I do have that perspective of I've been there, I've gone through this process, but I'm also a community member who feels like I'm almost being tricked. That's my perception of it. And we all know perception is reality. It's just the way it is. So the perception you've given this community is that you're trying to sneak in. You know, neighbors, we're not saying that necessarily is what you intended, but that's just the general sense of what happened. That might not be fair, but that's just the way it is.
Trish has a habit of jumping into things without looking at what she's jumping into and trying to slow around it. And that's not uncommon for women these days either.
Can I just say something to kind of sum it up too? Just, I don't want you to feel like I'm totally against it, okay? I moved up here, I'm from Southern Ohio, okay? I moved up here in 2012, at the end of 2012. And I tell you what, I've never been around better people than in this village. I'm telling you, I know everybody now, I feel loved, and it's a great thing. I'm telling you, they will help you. But like I said, and I tried to explain to you the other day, the best way to do it is to don't come in here screaming discrimination. Don't say the federal government isn't here. I've said it on a million board meetings. The state's not here, okay? This is us. This is the community itself. Go about it the right way. And I'm telling you, you'll get more support than you will by bucking it. That's all they want, okay? earn our trust, show us that you're trustworthy, and it'll go a lot further. You know, like I said, Mr. Parisi, it'll take, you know, I'm sure you'll be more, I'm telling you, these people will help you. But let's do it the right way. And it's a good thing, what you wanna do, it really is. Like I said, if we do it right, it won't be an issue. You could find a home, but that's what we gotta do, we gotta go through the channels, show everybody, that, you know what I mean, it is what it is. And we'll be fine. I'm the first one that knew about it, I heard from the community. I had no clue what they were talking about, I'm the one that notified the rest of the board. Okay, this was, a little over a month ago. And then, the first time I met you was a week ago, and then here you are for the first time in front of the community. That's why it gets to where it gets, you know what I mean? Everybody's scared, they don't know where to stand. If you wanna help, that's the way let's do it, you know, go before the board, get the permits, you know, and we'll go from there. That's all.
And I also offer, once again, instead of behind a computer screen and assuming and slamming, come talk to us. The phone number's been listed. You know, even if you don't feel comfortable talking on the phone, inbox us. You know, I've put that out there time and time again, and the offer still stands.
Okay. Mr. LaFever.
Just to make a point, and everything's a process, and that's what we're talking about, is locking in on a good process to get a good result. But I would like to point out that the reason that the old school sits in the condition that it is the woman that took that was going to do the PIMS programs with kids at risk. Look where we are. They didn't do the process, and now we've got a huge liability. So we're not discriminating against you. We've had experience of getting screwed, big time. We're looking at a liability now of the old school that we're eventually going to inherit and have to do something with it. But originally, when the woman went in to that, she was going to do this, this, and this. She didn't have her processes. She was going to become a 501c3, but she didn't. And she was going to get federal money for it. And look what we got. So this isn't personal. This is as a result of experience. And if we don't learn from experience, then we really are dumb. And I think we have learned from experience. This is a very compassionate community, very compassionate, if you do it right. If you do it wrong, you'll never fit. I'm gonna tell you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Burrows? She left. Alright. Mr. Nephew?
I'm here with Dr. Prince.
Mr. Prince?
I've also provided a notice of claim informing the village that in my personal capacity, I will also bring suit if the board doesn't take corrective action related to both the same acts, as well as breach of contract, as well as unlawful termination and libel and slander.
Anybody? Alright, well that does conclude our public meeting, or our public comment period.
Is there anybody that came in afterwards?
And two more, which is the insurance company that we have to.
Kyle, did you sign the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
Okay,
Kyle and Heather.
thank you.
Yes.
Did you want to say anything, Carl? No.
Alright, so moving on, let's go to the insurance.
Thanks, folks.
Did you?
You want to talk to these people here?
Yeah, let's talk to them first.
I don't know if you would like to add these into that group.
Yeah, is it okay if I take
Yeah,
them
you can
and make
have those.
copies? And then-
No, you can have those.
Oh, I can have these? Okay, and then what about these? You want me to
I
mail
would
these?
like copies, but if you need them, go right ahead and keep them. I have more.
Okay, because I can mail these back to you after I
Okay,
copy
that would be
them.
fine.
Okay, all right, that's what I'll do then.
Oh, absolutely. I would never want anything, like everyone said, it's a great idea.
Is bringing some of this information up at the actual planning board.
Right.
Hey, Rose.
Yeah? Okay.
When that time I do not, I'm a village.
Hey, Rose?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to make a 5-minute recess?
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to make a 5-minute recess?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Bob seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, carried and approved.
0, okay.
If you would like to mail those back to